Hello again, everyone. This is Javier Correa, the Tax-Terminator, live from Panama City, Panama. And today we are in the historical town of Casco Viejo. What a wonderful place this is. We're in the main square of Casco Viejo. This is the original settlement of Panama, or I guess the original settlement 2.0, and I'll get to that in a second. Just to breathe in the vibe here, like we have a Spanish historical cathedral right over here. We've got the typical Spanish architecture all around. If you go and you see these hotels, these houses, these stores around here, they have like the central patio that is typical of Spanish architecture, just absolutely breathtaking and wonderful. If you're a fan of history as I am, then you'll definitely love coming here to Casco Viejo. And you know what? I might add something else, which is that here I've had some of the most fantastic brunch anywhere in the world. We had a brunch at one hotel here nearby. Wonderful views, wonderful food. I even had some Venezuelan tequeños, which were absolutely wonderful. The meat was absolutely spectacular. So overall, this is a place to breathe in the history, to have fun, and to have fantastic brunch, and to find some of those beautiful hotels anywhere in Panama City. Now, the reason why we're in Casco Viejo today is because it is also one of the, let's say, more hip neighborhoods. If you walk around Casco Viejo, you're going to find a lot of digital nomads, of people who are working remotely, guys doing their coding, traders, people who maybe, are not ready to make that 6-figure or 7-figure investment to get a residence permit here, but who want something more transitory, who want to come to Panama, spend some time here, have fun, enjoy the lower cost of living, and maybe look at the dating scene down here, and take all advantage of all of that while still coming here and working legally. This historical side of Casco Viejo can be enjoyed, as I mentioned, by remote workers from all over the world. And guess what? Panama has an option in terms of immigration for all of you out there who are in that situation. So Panama has a comprehensive digital nomad visa program, which is something that we're increasingly looking at, especially for some of our younger clients who, as I mentioned before, want to come down here, check out the dating scene, optimize their taxes for a while, but eventually maybe move on, maybe come back to Panama later, but ultimately just want something more transitory to check out Panama to see if this might just be the place where they want to come and settle down maybe later on in a couple of years. So how does the digital nomad visa here in Panama work? So the digital nomad visa essentially in Panama has a couple of conditions. Number one, you need to have your own private health insurance. So that's important. If you're going to come here as a digital nomad, they want to make sure that you're not going to be using public healthcare services. So international private healthcare is definitely a must. Number two, you have to have a remote source of income. So that income has to be tied either to employment or self-employment. But one of the main criteria that they're going to look at is that the economic benefit of the activities that you'll be performing in Panama will actually have its effect abroad. So that is like a main issue here in Panama for their taxation system, for their perception of territoriality, for their definition of territoriality when it comes to taxes and business. So if you are a remote worker and you're coding for that company in Silicon Valley or in Austin, Texas, if you're that trader working for a Wall Street investment firm and all of the substance of your work is geared towards foreign clients in the US, Canada, etc. Maybe you're an engineer, an architect, you have your clients overseas, you can definitely qualify. Now, the income threshold to qualify for that digital nomad visa here in Panama is slightly higher than others in the region. So, for example, Colombia has a program which is far more affordable. Obviously, cost of living in Colombia is lower. But here in Panama, where the economy is dollarized, you are going to have a threshold that is slightly higher. So the threshold here in Panama for the digital nomad visa is $36,000. That's what you have to make, $36,000 per year or more. And your economic activity has to be in a manner that I laid out before. Now, the digital nomad visa in Panama is given to you for a total of 9 months, and then after 9 months you can potentially choose to renew that for an additional 9 months. After that, you do have to look at maybe changing your residence permit to something else. There are many options here in Panama, from real estate investing to opening a bank account and getting a term deposit to starting a business here. I mean, there are multiple options, but you have to look at what is the best one for you after, the 18-month period. So 9 months, that's the first period you get your digital nomad visa, then another 9 months, and that's all you got. Now, the interesting thing here is technically there is no law that prohibits you from then exiting Panama and then just requesting a new digital nomad visa. So the difference would be you get it for 9 months, you renew it for another 9. And then if you want to come back potentially after a few months or a few years, then you apply for another digital nomad visa, so a new visa entirely. Now, the other good thing about Panama is that there's a lot of flexibility. So if you want to start off as a digital nomad, come out here, check it out, and then you want to transition into another residence permit through bank deposit, property, starting a company, friendly nations, whatever it is, you can definitely do that. There's no law against that. In fact, the level of flexibility that Panama offers to switch from one residence permit to the next is actually quite large. Now, the other thing that I would mention about Panama is that obviously because it's so tax friendly, a lot of digital nomads love coming here because they can rest assured that all of their foreign source income will remain untaxed. One of the main things that we hear about, the global concerns of our clients when they're digital nomads is, I don't want to trigger tax residence anywhere that is unfriendly because, then my entire investments, my foreign companies, maybe the money my family's leaving me or left me as an inheritance that, is invested somewhere, that is going to be sucked into the tax net. Well, the good thing is here in Panama, obviously you can avoid the tax net altogether by spending less than 183 days. But even if you do trigger tax residence here in Panama, it is not a problem because Panama is a very tax-friendly country. So the territorial tax system really favors digital nomadism in a very large way. So here, Casco Viejo, the reason why there's so many people from the digital nomad space, the digital nomad community, is that here you have some of the best parties in the city. So if you want to meet those single ladies who are ready to mingle, if you want to meet other young digital nomads who are basically ready to party from all over the world, Germany, Switzerland, the U.S., Canada, this is basically the place to be, especially later on in the evening. And as an added bonus, I did tell you guys that this was like the original settlement 2.0, and I'm going to tell you why. So I'm a student of history. I love history. I'm not a professional historian, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get absolutely everything, right, and that I know everything, but I do like to do a bit of research on, the places where I go to. And so here, Casco Viejo is actually the second settlement built by the Spanish for Panama City proper. And the reason for that is that originally the Spanish had built a settlement on the Pacific Ocean, and this settlement was actually very valuable for the Spanish to later sail down the Pacific coast of the Americas and later colonize Peru and other areas in the continent. But unfortunately, at one point, the British pirate Henry Morgan actually sacked the city and burned it down, the original Panama City, Panama 1.0, so to speak. And so once that happened, the Spanish authorities then decided to essentially rebuild the city in a more strategic location, which is where we're standing today, which would later become Casco Viejo. So just like, breathing in the history here, you've got also the Canal Museum, which is not too far off, and it really, you feel this very authentic sense of where Panama has come from. And so one of the other reasons that I think people love the history and people really want to come here to Casco Viejo is that sometimes, we have clients who are, in the digital nomad space that are maybe more artsy. I talk a lot about how Panama is very business oriented. As a tax attorney myself, I like to be surrounded with attorneys and CPAs and bankers and hedge fund managers. And, I'm very brickle in many ways. But one of the things that I love about this environment here in Casco Viejo is that if you're more into the theater, if you're more into cinema, if you're more into the arts in general, and you want more of that European, more of that Spanish vibe, and you really want to just, lay back, listen to some guitar, and you're not really that much business oriented, but you're more into the living life, la dolce vita, as the Italians would say, or the pura vida, as the Costa Ricans would say, this is definitely more the place to be. So what I want you to take away from this is that if you're more into the business, hedge fund, law firm type profile, Panama is a place for you. If you're more into the European, let's have a bottle of wine at 4 p.m., let's have some tapas, and let's go dancing, and let's just enjoy life because, we have to. We don't know when we might not be here anymore. And you're more of that bohemian artsy type, then definitely Panama is also a place for you to consider. And guess what? It's tax friendly for both profiles, and it's affordable for both profiles. The affordability here in Panama is definitely huge when compared to North America. And if I was telling you that, Cinta Costera, Costa del Este is definitely brickle living here in Latin America with potentially zero tax, Casco Viejo is definitely a kind of Madrid living or European style living here at potentially zero tax, affordable here in Panama City. So if you want to learn more about Panama, if you want to learn more about the wonderful opportunities that you can have here as a digital nomad, as an investor, as a business person, be sure to subscribe to this channel, like this video, drop a comment down below, and you know what? Until next time, this is the Tax-Terminator signing off from Panama City.